So a little bit of a treat today. By way of leaving someone up to the airport, I've decided to drive on a few more miles and come to a beautiful spot here in the west of Ireland called the Museum of Country Life. So without further ado, hope you can join me on this little visit. So it's quite busy here today because it is the school holidays, the Easter holidays. Look at this fabulous old house. Now the museum is actually a build-on, an add-on to this, and it's done in a very modern style. So I'm having lunch here in the cafe, and it's all vegan. Falafel filled wraps. So here we are with Oliver Murphy, who has been showing me around the museum. This part of it, this is the house, of course. The museum itself is a beautiful contemporary building which is attached to here, which I should be going to shortly. But I just wanted to introduce you to Oliver and allow Oliver to say a few words.
Hello, you're very welcome to Turlough Park House. It was actually a former home of the Fitzgerald family. They arrived here in the mid-17th century, and there was a family presence here right up to 1981. What we have open to the public here is the foyer of the house, and the library and the drawing room as well. Lovely.
This particular staircase, it fascinates me. I've been looking at it, Oliver, while you've been talking to some people.
It's a cantilevered staircase.
Cantilevered, that was the word I was looking for.
The depth of the walls that's actually holding it in place.
Yes.
It's created of Portland stone, which was actually imported from Devon in England.
Really? That's amazing.
It's the same on the floor. They say that it was a nice stone to have on the floor, and especially in regard to having an open fire, because suddenly the heat radiates through the stone, and you had actually underfloor heating. So it is. The fireplace itself here is
beautiful.
A Carrara marble. It's from Tuscany in Italy, a particularly nice piece, and you can see as well the shamrock is included here
it's
at the
fabulous.
bottom. The fireplace in the library is actually a different type of a different colour as well.
Yes.
And that is actually Portuguese marble.
Yes.
As we can see here, a particularly nice one as well. Very unusual.
It's beautiful.
But nonetheless...
that must have been must have cost a fortune to have something like that installed.
Yes, indeed. And then to have it imported, and the transport costs, and of course the difficulties with transportation at the time, and the length of time it would take. We're led to believe too, Colette, that locally, from local folklore, that tenants would have entered through the doors here,
yes,
would have paid a site agent seated behind a desk similar to this.
Yes.
And we understand too from local folklore that the landlord may have actually hidden here while the rent was being paid, and may have listened to his excuses and so forth. Well, that's what we have in local folklore. Just going into this room then, the drawing room, we have a very unique, what we call a lyra chord piano. One half works like the conventional piano, in the sense that it has, when you depress the note, has a striking mechanism. The other half then works as when the note is depressed, it has a plucking mechanism.
And I believe it's the only one in the world.
It was created by the Reverend Cotter from Dunamore, County Cork, in between the years 1840 to 1865.
Yes.
Broadwood then built it for him. It was as a prototype. He actually went to London and promoted it, and he got great reviews and positive response. But unfortunately, when Broadwood then went to actually create, look to create more of them.
Yeah, commercially,
on commercial sale, they put it up for sale, and apparently there was no takers. And this is
what a loss to the world.
This remains a very unique.
It's beautiful.
It's lovely to have it.
It's absolutely beautiful.
However functional, we believe there was a half-minute delay in your piece of music, allowing for the harpsichord side. But however functional, visually is absolutely beautiful.
It's absolutely gorgeous.
And it does attract an awful lot of attention, especially among visitors to the
I'd say so. I mean, it just looks so romantic, and I know that the house itself is it would have taken in lots of aspects of the arts and crafts movement.
Yes, it did.
And which followed on then, you know, from the Romantic movement. And you had all the poets like Alfred Lord Tennyson and Samuel Taylor Coleridge. Yes, and you had all this wonderful, just sort of bursting forth of the most beautiful, exquisite, in many ways nature-based art. So you had these flowing lines.
Exactly,
you know,
absolutely.
that's what really is so beautiful about that.
Detail and the sloping down to the top fabrics, you know. It just brings us on to another Carrara fireplace here that was also imported from Tuscany initially. The only difference in this one is that the reds here, you almost looks like red marble.
Yes.
But it in fact is Cork limestone.
Wow.
And the reason where we associate limestone is actually grey, but the reason then for the change of colour is that water actually comes down, the oxygen in the water changes the grey to actually red.
Wow,
and so it's
I never knew that.
And it is a combination of two different countries. You have the Italian and you have the Irish.
Yes. I tell you what, it's a good mix, isn't it?
It's a lovely mix, and it's a lovely result. Lovely results.
So it's a very kind of multicultural fireplace going on there.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Yes,
well,
it is.
It's beautiful.
It's a beautiful piece.
Yeah.
Beautiful piece, you know.
Yeah, I do have a few subscribers in Italy actually, and yeah. In fact, I've got one in particular who visits.
Brilliant.
And
brilliant.
yeah, I think there's a little video up on the site of her and her partner playing music in my woodland.
Oh.
Yeah, so there's a lot of dovetailing going on here, just looking at that fireplace. So there you go, Kitty. There's a little conjunction of the Irish and the Italian for you. So this is an art exhibition, and if you look closely, these are all glass potatoes. And I'll tell you a little bit about the artist later. And this is a commemoration art exhibition. So just looking out here on the lawns and down that way, this of course was part of the estate. This is one of the great houses. And we're in the library. Some of these books are just amazing. I'd love to get my hands on some of them. To you, I'm just going to say thank you now so much. That was lovely. And
you're so welcome, Colette. It was lovely to meet you here, and I know to all your friends they will be checking in on your site, and they're all very welcome here.
Lovely, absolutely. You have to visit Turlough House and definitely the museum. I'm going to take you there now. So now I'm in the main museum, and you can see it's very much what it says on the box, which is the Museum of Country Life. And this, of course, is how the people, and this is very much Aran. You can see the Aran jumper here, the hat, and these little shoes, I remember they're called pamputis. There's the woman wearing the Galway shawl. And red was a very popular colour, but they dyed the felt, they dyed the wool. This is part of the ongoing art exhibitions held here. And this is a beautiful piece of work called the Carlow Chair. And it's a unique artwork created by Sasha Sykes. And you can see inside here mosses, lichen, grasses and twigs. It's So when I promised you a modern, contemporary building, you see what I mean. Isn't it beautiful? Now, normally, the modern and the old find it difficult fitting together. But I think that it's definitely worked here. I think those are beehives, don't you? They are, look. They're beehives. You see the bees coming and going. What a lovely thing to have by a museum. Look at that beautiful Irish, west of Ireland sky. So there's work going on in the museum today. You can see there's a fair amount of building works going on. But I'm going to take you down these stairs now to more exhibits. Of course, there's the famous Michael Collins. This is an exhibition about the War of Independence and the founding of the Irish Republic. An exhibition of chairs. Down more stairs, going down to the, I think this is the bottom level, I'm not too sure. No, that looks very much like a school teacher in a classroom. And that's the smithy. Shopkeeper. That woman looks a bit defiant to me. She looks a bit like my granny. This is all about thatching and the tools that I used. So it's very much the focus of the exhibitions today. It's all about work and about crafting and all the trades that have gone to create a solid country life. Ah yes, this is the ground floor. Look, there's the loch. All the daisies. So now this is about dress. You see most of the clothing is made from wool and a lot of it would have been felted, like this for example, felted or woven. And in the case of the iron jumpers, knit, and of course the socks would have been knit as well. And these are the carders for carding the wool, and there you can see lichens which would have been used to dye the wool. Of course, not far from here is a place called the Foxford Woolen Mills. So a lot of the rugs, the blankets that you'd see, especially in tourist destinations, would be from places like Foxford. And here you can see a woman who's carding wool, which is an essential part of the spinning process. I know, of course, because I've done some spinning myself. So there were certain fabrics which were unique to Ireland, especially at that time. One would have been linen, so linen was used a lot for undergarments, and the other would have been wool. And you can see, of course, the beautiful dyes, and the quilting as well. So there was quilting done on linen. Look at this beautiful iron jumper. Now they say that each family had its own particular pattern. And I heard a story long ago that the reason for the individual patterning of the jumpers pertaining to the families was that if one of the fishermen got drowned at sea, they could identify the body. And there's the Galway shawl and another beautiful woolen skirt and a woolen jacket. And here you've got two different kinds of spinning wheels. Well, three actually, because here you have a drop spindle. That's a drop spindle there. And this section of the museum seems to focus quite a lot on boats and travel and fishing. So this would have been, this is called a curragh, and there's lots of information about these online. That's a coracle up there. And then this interesting boat appears to be made from rushes. Comments asked about the lazy beds and the way that potatoes were grown in them. Well, of course, they were called lazy beds because once you put the potatoes in, there was very little else to do other than to keep it weeded. So here you have a farmer making lazy beds, and down here you've got two women who are just finishing off, tamping down the lazy beds once the potatoes have gone in. Of course, the main festival, and one which is coming up next month, is Bealtaine, and this particular part of the museum focuses on the 4 great Celtic festivals, which were, the first one was Samhain. Samhain started the year, and that would have been New Year's Day. The second one was Imach, the third Bealtaine, and the fourth one, Lunasa. And of course in between you've got the cross quarters. So you had the midsummer, you had the solstice. Well, I just had to show you this before we go. So you can see this beautiful, let me just put my bag down. I bought a couple of books, as I do, being a great reader that I am. So let me just show you. So, oh, so much to show. There's the beautiful house. This is the museum, part of the National Museum of Ireland. Over there, I'm just going to see if I can zoom in. There's a round tower. Look at that. Is that something special or what? Sorry, I'm shaking this camera a wee bit. I think I need a cup of tea. Isn't this beautiful? You know, this is a place where you could quite happily spend a very enchanted day. I mean, there's a beautiful woodland walk through there, and there's the most fantastic children's playground. There's glass houses. So much to see. It is beautiful. The cafe is fantastic, little restaurant cafe where you can get good food, tea, coffee, lovely cakes. I mean, it's just here waiting for people to visit. I am definitely coming back. I'm going to bring some of my own family with me or some visitors. Definitely coming back. And I'm so looking forward to putting this video up when I get home. There's also a lot of intriguing sculptures here. There's one of them. And just a little funny aside before I leave, that looks very much like a Bealtaine clock. You know, the clocks in my cottage don't work. It's because of the energy. Yeah, there's some interesting energies here.